Before you start to watch this video, here's the truth. This is the only video you need to watch. Everything you're searching for, everything you've been trying to understand about the universe, about your existence, is right here. This isn't just information. This is a revelation. Watch it, absorb it, and you'll never see the world the same way again. Imagine a universe where every thought, every feeling, and every soul is part of a grand, interconnected system. A structure that stretches across multiple dimensions, from the densest physical form to realms of pure consciousness and light. This isn't about science or religion. It's about understanding the hidden architecture of existence. A journey that begins with chaos, but ascends to the highest realms of order and divine unity. In this model of the universe, reality unfolds in layers, each one representing a different state of being, a different plane of consciousness. At the lowest level, we find the raw forces of chaos, entropy, and disintegration, an unconscious state where everything is formless. But as we rise, the universe becomes more organized, more refined, and more aware. We move through layers of energy, through physical reality, through mental and emotional planes, and into the realms where the soul and spirit fully bloom. The 12-domain universe is the ultimate reflection of who we are. It's the mirror of our spiritual evolution, showing us how to transcend the limitations of the material world and unlock the infinite potential of the higher realms. So, if you've ever wondered what lies beyond, if you've ever felt the pull toward something greater, toward higher knowledge, greater awareness, this is your answer. This is the key to understanding your place in the cosmos and the journey your soul is destined to take. To understand the universe, we must start at the beginning. Not the Big Bang, not the birth of stars, but something far more fundamental: the source. The source is pure potential, the primal force from which everything originates. It is the unmanifest, the unshaped energy, the consciousness that exists beyond time, beyond space. The source is not something we can see or touch. It's not a god in the traditional sense, but it's the very fabric of reality itself, the foundation on which all universes, all dimensions, all consciousness is built. Imagine it as the spark before creation, the original singularity where everything exists in perfect unity. But what happens when that unity wants to express itself? It must divide. It must manifest. That's where the concept of duality comes in. Light and dark, positive and negative, existence and non-existence. This is where we encounter the void. The void is not empty. It is full of raw potential, waiting to take form. In this model, the void acts as a kind of cosmic womb, a space where energy waits to be born into existence. It separates the source from creation itself, acting as the veil between the unmanifest and the manifest universe. The source and the void are not in opposition, but rather, they work together. The source, as pure potential, needs the void to bring forth creation. Think of the void as the stage on which the play of existence unfolds, and the source is the author, director, and actor, all rolled into one. Without the void, the source would remain in stasis, unexpressed. Without the source, the void would remain empty. Together, they form the very first step in the journey of the universe, a cycle of creation, dissolution, and rebirth. It's important to realize that the void is not a nothingness in the way we might think of a vacuum or empty space. Instead, it's teeming with possibilities. Every potential reality, every potential version of you and me, exists within this void, waiting to be brought into form. This is where all creation begins, and it's from here that the universe starts to unfold into multiple layers and dimensions. It is the birthplace of reality, the canvas upon which the cosmos is painted. From this perspective, the source represents the ultimate unity, while the void represents the necessary separation that allows creation to occur. It's in this delicate balance of unity and separation, potential and manifestation, that the entire universe finds its origin. And as we'll soon discover, every soul, every thought, every atom comes from this initial divide, from the source, passing through the void and into the realms of existence. When you meditate, when you contemplate the nature of existence, you are essentially trying to reconnect with that source, to peel back the layers of separation and duality, to remember that at your core, you are part of this primal energy. You are a fragment of the source, and just like the universe, you too are manifesting through layers of consciousness. The journey we are about to explore begins here, with the source and the void, the two forces that make everything else possible. Now that we've explored the source and the void, let's move into the highest layers of existence, the higher domains. These are the realms closest to the source, where consciousness is most pure, and where the separation between the individual soul and the divine begins to blur. We're stepping into the 12th through the 8th domains, planes of existence that are beyond our everyday comprehension, yet they form the foundation for everything beneath them. These realms aren't just higher levels of consciousness. They represent different states of being where the boundaries of self dissolve and unity with the cosmic order becomes undeniable. The 12th domain, the highest of all, is known as the Godhead, or the Source Seed. This is where the purest form of existence resides, unmanifested, infinite potential. In this state, there is no duality, no light or dark, just total unity with the Creator. This is where all creation begins, and to touch this domain, even in meditation or thought, is to touch the very essence of existence itself. In this realm, time and space cease to exist. There is only infinite consciousness and undivided wholeness, often described as a state of pure bliss or ecstasy. It's where everything and nothing exists simultaneously, a paradox beyond the limits of language or thought. Moving down into the 11th domain, we encounter the universal plan. Here, the energy of the source begins to take shape, though still unmanifest. This is the realm of pure potentiality, where the blueprint for all creation is stored, like a cosmic design. The universal plan holds the patterns that will later become galaxies, stars, planets, and even souls. It's where the divine mind begins to organize the infinite possibilities of the 12th domain into structures that can later manifest in lower realms. Think of it as the architect's vision before the physical building exists. It's not yet form, but it's more than just raw energy. It's the seed of creation itself. Next is the 10th domain, the oversoul or spirit monad. This is where the first sparks of individual consciousness begin to emerge, while still deeply connected to the source. The consciousness here starts to differentiate ever so slightly, forming the seeds of individual souls, but not in the way we experience individuality here. The soul exists in a state of collective consciousness, deeply aware of its unity with all other souls and with the divine. It's a plane of pure spirit where the soul understands itself as part of a greater whole, but begins to glimpse its own unique journey. This is where the concept of soul groups or soul families originates, a collection of souls born from the same spiritual source. The 9th domain is the domain of the archangels, the ascended masters, and high spiritual beings. This is where we start to see divine beings take on roles in the cosmic order. The souls in this domain are fully aware of their connection to the source, but they also begin to act as intermediaries, guardians, guides, and teachers for those in the lower realms. These are the beings that oversee the grand workings of the universe, directing the flow of energy and consciousness from the higher domains into the lower ones. They are responsible for the cosmic laws that govern creation and guide the evolution of consciousness across all planes of existence. The eighth domain is known as the crystalline sea, or the celestial administration. This is where divine law and order are fully realized. Here, the cosmic structure of the universe begins to solidify. It's still a spiritual domain, but we start to see the principles of form and function taking root. The beings in this domain are administrators of cosmic law, ensuring that the divine blueprint is executed perfectly as it descends through the layers of creation. They oversee the evolution of souls, guiding them through their various incarnations and ensuring that the cosmic balance is maintained. It's a domain of perfect clarity, where the divine will is executed with precision. So, what do these higher domains mean for us? First, it's important to understand that these aren't physical places. They're not other planets or galaxies. They're states of consciousness, levels of existence that operate beyond the physical realm, beyond even thought and emotion. When we connect with these higher domains, whether through deep meditation, prayer, or spiritual practice, we're reconnecting with our true origins. We're remembering the purity and unity from which we all come. The higher domains remind us that we are not just physical beings. We are spiritual entities, part of a much grander cosmic plan. Second, the higher domains are crucial to the soul's evolution. They are the source of divine wisdom, guidance, and protection. Even if we are unaware of it, we are constantly receiving influence from these higher realms. The ascended beings, archangels, and guides from these domains help us navigate the challenges of life, offering wisdom and light when we need it most. They are the intermediaries between the source and the material world, ensuring that the divine plan is carried out even in the midst of chaos. Ultimately, the 12th through 8th domains represent the highest possible states of existence, where the soul is fully aligned with the source and the universe operates in perfect harmony. As we evolve through the lower domains, our ultimate goal is to return to these higher realms, to reunite with the divine in full awareness and become co-creators in the ongoing expansion of the cosmos. These domains aren't just distant, unreachable places. They are where we're headed, where we come from, and where our true essence resides. Now that we've explored the highest domains, where unity with the source is most profound, we descend into what we call the middle realms. These are the dimensions where duality begins to take shape more distinctly, where the interplay of light and dark, creation and destruction, becomes a driving force of existence. These realms, from the 7th to the 4th domain, represent the transition from the spiritual to the mental and emotional layers of consciousness. Here, the soul begins to experience individuality more clearly, while still deeply connected to the higher planes. This is where the complexity of life as we know it begins to unfold. The 7th domain, often referred to as the realm of the abyss, is a place of great mystery. This is the threshold between the higher, non-dual realms and the beginning of duality. The abyss is not a place of evil or darkness in the traditional sense, but rather it's the field of potential, where non-duality begins to separate into duality. It's the space where light and dark, creation and destruction become possible, though they have not yet taken full form. In this domain, souls and energies hover in a state of near balance, awaiting the push toward manifestation. Think of it as a cosmic womb, where the energies of the higher planes are about to be born into the more tangible realms of existence. Crossing this threshold, we enter the 6th domain, the realm of the Buddhic or causal plane. This is where duality is fully present, but it's still balanced. Light and dark are not in opposition here. They are complementary forces, each necessary for the other's existence. This is a plane of deep spiritual awareness, where souls begin to understand their individual journey in the context of the larger cosmic plan. It's a place of profound insight and awakening, where the soul realizes its purpose not just for one lifetime, but across many incarnations. The sixth domain is also the seat of higher wisdom and compassion, where beings like bodhisattvas and avatars reside, guiding others through cycles of rebirth and enlightenment. The fifth domain, the mental or Christ Buddha plane, is where the soul starts to engage more directly with thought and intellect. Here, individual souls begin to create and shape their own realities using the power of the mind. It's where abstract ideas and universal truths are first formulated. This is the realm of higher thought, where the soul engages with archetypes, symbols, and the larger structures that define reality. In this domain, thought is not just a function of the brain as we know it. It's a creative force. Every thought, every intention begins to take shape here, influencing the lower planes of existence. This is why it's often said that thoughts become things, because in the fifth domain, they quite literally do. Descending further, we enter the fourth domain, the astral or emotional plane. This is where individuality and duality are felt most strongly, where the soul is fully immersed in the play of opposites. Here, emotions run deep: joy and sorrow, love and fear, hope and despair. It's the realm where the soul experiences the full spectrum of emotions, where karmic imprints are felt, and where the dramas of life unfold. In the fourth domain, we find the roots of all our emotional experiences in the physical world. It's a turbulent realm, but also a creative one. The emotions that stir here shape not only our personal experiences, but also the collective consciousness of humanity. The astral plane is also the seat of desire, where the soul begins to experience a pull toward or away from certain things, whether they be people, experiences, or ideas. It's where attachment and aversion come into play, and where the karmic cycles of cause and effect are most deeply felt. Every action taken in the lower realms has its origins in the emotions and desires that are rooted in this plane. It's often said that the astral plane is the realm of illusion, Maya, because the emotions and desires experienced here can cloud the soul's vision, making it difficult to see the larger truths of existence. But it's also a realm of immense growth, where the soul learns through experience, trial, and error. So, what do the middle realms mean for us? These domains are the bridge between the purely spiritual realms of the higher planes and the physical realities we experience every day. In these domains, the soul is beginning to take on a clearer sense of individuality and purpose, though it is still deeply influenced by the higher energies from above. This is where we find the roots of our thoughts, emotions, and desires. It's also where much of our karmic lessons are learned, and as the soul begins to work through the patterns it has carried through multiple lifetimes. The seventh through fourth domains are where much of the work of spiritual evolution takes place. These are the realms where the soul begins to actively engage with its own growth and development, where it learns the lessons of duality, compassion, wisdom, and creativity. They are the testing grounds of the soul, where we confront the full range of human experience, both the beautiful and the challenging, and where we learn how to rise above the illusions of separation and duality. Ultimately, the middle realms teach us that life, in all its complexity, is part of a grand cosmic process. Every thought, every emotion, every experience we have is part of our journey through these dimensions, a journey that will eventually lead us back toward the higher planes, back toward unity with the Source. But for now, as we move through the middle realms, we are here to learn, to grow, and to understand the balance between duality and unity, between self and the whole. The journey through these realms is one of self-realization, where the soul begins to understand its place within the grand design of the universe. As we descend further, we come to the lower realms, the third, second, and first domains. These are the realms of physicality, density, and limitation, where spirit takes its most tangible form. The lower realms are where the soul's lessons are put to the test, where duality becomes inescapable, and where the most profound growth occurs through the experience of separation. This is where we live, where we incarnate as human beings, and where we confront the challenges of material existence. Yet, even in these dense realms, the divine plan is unfolding, guiding us toward eventual ascension back to the higher planes. The third domain, the physical plane, is the realm we are most familiar with. It's where matter and energy take the form of the material world, where the soul incarnates into a physical body to experience life on Earth. Here, we are bound by the laws of time, space, and causality. It's the densest of all realms, the farthest from the source in terms of consciousness, yet it's the most essential for the soul's evolution. In the third domain, the soul experiences the full weight of duality, pleasure and pain, joy and sorrow, love and fear. It is through these experiences that we learn, grow, and evolve. What makes the third domain so challenging is that it feels so real, so permanent. We forget that we are spiritual beings having a temporary physical experience. Instead, we become entangled in the illusions of separation, believing that we are isolated from one another, from nature, and from the divine. This is the realm where the ego reigns, where material desires and attachments often obscure a higher purpose. Yet, it is precisely through these trials that the soul matures. Every challenge, every relationship, every joy, and every heartbreak serves as a stepping stone for the soul's journey back to the higher planes. The second domain is the etheric plane, or the subconscious realm. This is the layer just beneath the physical world, a realm of energy and life force that animates all living things. It's where we find the blueprints for physical reality, where patterns of health, vitality, and even emotional and psychological tendencies are stored. The etheric body is the energetic counterpart of the physical body, and it's through this domain that life energy, or prana, flows. This is the realm of the subconscious mind, where we store our memories, instincts, and karmic imprints from previous lives. It's also the realm of deep healing, where the soul begins to clear the blockages and traumas that have accumulated through lifetimes. The etheric plane serves as the bridge between the physical and the spiritual realms. It's through this domain that higher spiritual energies filter down into the physical body. The etheric body is what connects us to our higher selves, guiding our physical actions and decisions, even if we are unaware of it. When people talk about feeling energy in a room or sensing someone's presence before seeing them, they are tapping into this etheric layer of reality. It's subtle, but incredibly powerful, as it shapes the material world from behind the scenes. Understanding this plane helps us realize that there is more to life than what we see on the surface, that the physical world is just one layer of a much larger, multidimensional reality. Finally, we come to the first domain, the unconscious realm, or the plane of chaos and entropy. This is the lowest and densest of all the realms, where matter and energy begin to break down and return to their primal state. It's a realm of disintegration and dissolution, where the cycle of creation ends before beginning anew. This plane is often associated with the deepest levels of unconsciousness, where the soul is furthest from its awareness of the source. It's the domain of pure survival instinct and basic drives. In some esoteric traditions, this plane is linked to what we might call the shadow, the parts of ourselves we repress or deny, the dark, chaotic forces that we fear but must confront in order to grow. But it's important to understand that the first domain is not evil. It's a necessary part of the cosmic cycle. Just as death is a natural part of life, entropy is a natural part of creation. It's the realm where old forms dissolve to make way for new ones. In this sense, the first domain represents the seedbed of transformation, where everything that falls apart eventually comes together again in a new form. This is the domain of endings that are in fact new beginnings. From this chaos, new life and new consciousness will arise. What does all this mean for us? The lower realms, particularly the third domain, are where most of us live out our daily lives. They are where we face the trials and challenges that test our character, our beliefs, and our spiritual maturity. It's easy to get lost in the density of these realms, to believe that the physical world is all there is. But these challenges are not obstacles. They are opportunities for growth. Every difficult experience in the lower realms is a lesson designed to help us remember who we really are, spiritual beings on a journey of awakening. The lower realms also remind us of the cyclical nature of existence. Everything in these realms is subject to the cycles of birth, death, and rebirth. The body grows, ages, and dies, only for the soul to return again, hopefully wiser, stronger, and more enlightened. Our experiences here shape our souls, adding layers of wisdom and compassion that we carry with us as we ascend back through the higher domains. This is the true purpose of the lower realms: to refine the soul through the fires of experience, to help us remember our divine origin and prepare us for the journey back to the source. Now that we've explored the lower, middle, and higher realms, it's time to understand the connection between them. This connection is what allows us, as spiritual beings, to traverse these layers of reality, to experience life on Earth while still maintaining a link to the divine. Two central concepts embody this connection: the silver cord and the abyss. Together, they form the bridge between the realms, helping us understand how energy flows and how our consciousness shifts from one plane to another. Let's begin with the silver cord. The silver cord is often described as an ethereal thread or conduit that links our physical body to our higher essence. Think of it as a lifeline connecting the soul to the body, while allowing our consciousness to transcend the physical. It anchors us to the third domain, the physical plane, but also reaches up through the higher dimensions, linking us directly to the oversoul and the source itself. In many spiritual traditions, this cord is seen as the pathway through which life force, or prana, flows from the higher planes down into the material world. You can think of the silver cord like the umbilical cord of the soul. Just as a baby in the womb is nourished through the umbilical cord, we as souls are nourished by the silver cord. It feeds us spiritual energy, guides us with higher wisdom, and sustains our connection to the source. This is why, during out-of-body experiences, the silver cord remains intact. It allows the soul to journey beyond the physical body without severing its connection to life. It's said that only in death is this cord finally severed, releasing the soul fully back into the heart of the higher realms. But while the silver cord connects us vertically, there is another key feature in our spiritual journey: the abyss. The abyss is often misunderstood as a place of darkness or separation, but in truth, the abyss represents the threshold between the realms of unity and duality. It's the void that separates the non-dual higher dimensions from the dualistic middle and lower realms. The abyss is not a place of evil. Rather, it's a space of profound transition. Here, energies that originate in the unified, non-dual source begin to split into dualities: light and dark, positive and negative, creation and destruction. This division is necessary for existence in the lower planes. Crossing the abyss is a critical part of the soul's journey. It represents the point at which we, as souls, begin to perceive ourselves as separate from the divine, from one another, and from the universe. It's where the illusion of duality takes root. But the abyss is not a permanent divide. It's a veil, a temporary separation designed to allow the soul to experience individual consciousness. It's through this experience of separation that we can eventually rediscover unity in a more profound way. The abyss can be seen as both a challenge and an opportunity. It's where the soul faces its greatest tests, where the pull of illusion and separation can be strongest, but it's also where the most significant growth can occur. Souls that successfully navigate the abyss can gain deep wisdom about the nature of duality and the interconnectedness of all things. It's in this realm of apparent separation that we begin to understand that even duality is an illusion, that everything is still connected at its core. In esoteric teachings, the abyss is often symbolized by the transition from the seventh domain, the realm of non-duality, down into the sixth and fifth domains, where duality takes shape. When we cross the abyss, we move from the experience of unity with the divine to the experience of individual existence. This is where the soul begins to see itself as separate from the whole, yet it is also where the soul begins to discover its unique identity, its purpose, and its role in the grand cosmic drama. How do the silver cord and the abyss work together? While the abyss represents the veil of separation, the silver cord ensures that we are never truly cut off from our divine essence. Even as we descend into the dense realities of the lower realms, the silver cord remains a lifeline, a direct connection to the higher planes and the source. It's through this connection that we can receive guidance, healing, and spiritual insight, even when we are deep within the illusion of physical reality. The silver cord also plays a role in our spiritual practices, whether through meditation, prayer, or deep states of contemplation. We can use this cord to ascend mentally and spiritually into the higher planes, gaining insights from the soul and the higher self. When we are in tune with our silver cord, we are able to remember our true nature, that we are spiritual beings temporarily experiencing physical life. This awareness can be a powerful tool in overcoming the challenges and illusions of the lower realms. Crossing the abyss, on the other hand, represents the soul's journey through the cycles of reincarnation and spiritual awakening. Each time we reincarnate, we pass through the abyss, descending into the experience of duality and individuality. But as we evolve spiritually, we begin to master this process. We start to understand that the abyss is not a barrier, but a gateway, a necessary passage through which we gain the experiences needed for our soul's growth. In many ways, the abyss is a rite of passage for the soul. To transcend the illusion of duality, we must first experience it fully. This is why the physical world, with all its challenges and contrasts, is so important. It provides us with the opportunities to learn, grow, and eventually rise above the illusion of separation. The abyss is both the greatest test and the greatest teacher. Together, the silver cord and the abyss form the structure of our spiritual journey. The cord ensures that no matter how far we travel into the dense realities of the physical world, we are always connected to our divine origin. And the abyss challenges us to confront the illusions of separation, to experience the full range of duality, and to ultimately transcend it. As we move into the final stage of our journey, we arrive at perhaps the most transformative concept in this entire cosmic structure: the process of ascension and the nature of the matrix that surrounds us. Ascension is not just a mystical idea. It's the soul's ultimate return to the higher realms, an awakening from the illusions of the lower planes, and a reintegration with the source. This is the path we are all on, whether we realize it or not. Ascension is the process by which we transcend the limitations of the physical, mental, and emotional realms and move back toward the divine, shedding layers of density and duality as we rise. But before we can understand ascension, we need to talk about the matrix. In spiritual terms, the matrix is the web of illusion and control that keeps us bound to the lower realms, especially the physical plane. It's the system of beliefs, societal structures, and limitations that make us forget who we truly are. The matrix thrives on duality: light versus dark, right versus wrong, fear versus love, and it keeps us entangled in these polarities. It tells us that we are separate from one another, separate from the divine, and limited by the material world. The matrix is deeply tied to the third domain, the physical realm, but its influence stretches across the lower and middle realms as well. It's what keeps us trapped in cycles of reincarnation, repeating the same lessons, acting out karmic loops that make it difficult to break free. This is why the physical world often feels so dense, so challenging, because the matrix is designed to keep us focused on the external, the material, and the temporary, rather than the eternal truths of our spiritual nature. Yet, within the matrix lies the key to our freedom. Ascension is the process by which we wake up to the reality that the matrix is not the ultimate truth. It's a system, yes, but it is not invincible. Once we become aware of it, we can begin to transcend it. Ascension is about reclaiming our spiritual sovereignty, breaking free from the limiting beliefs and structures that keep us anchored to the lower planes. It's the recognition that we are not merely physical beings bound by time and space. We are multidimensional beings with the power to rise above limitations. The process of ascension begins with awareness. We start to see the cracks in the matrix. We question the structures and beliefs that have been handed to us about who we are, what life is, and what's possible. This is the awakening stage, where the soul begins to remember its divine origin. Once we see through the illusions of the matrix, we begin to shift our consciousness. We start to align more with love, with unity, with higher wisdom, and less with fear, separation, and material attachments. But ascension is not a single event. It's a process. It unfolds over lifetimes as the soul learns, grows, and evolves. With each life, with each lesson, we move closer to our true nature. We begin to embody more light, more compassion, and more wisdom. Our frequency rises, and we become less affected by the heavy energies of the lower realms. We start to live more from the heart, more in alignment with the higher dimensions, even as we exist in the physical world. During the ascension process, the silver cord we talked about earlier becomes more active. It acts as our spiritual lifeline, pulling us upward, connecting us to higher realms of consciousness. As we ascend, we also begin to dissolve the veils of the abyss, recognizing that the separation between us and the divine was always an illusion. The higher we rise, the more we see that everything is interconnected, that the matrix was just a temporary structure designed to help us learn, but not something that defines us. Eventually, through continued spiritual practice, meditation, and alignment with our soul's purpose, we reach a point where we no longer need to reincarnate in the dense lower realms. We graduate from the cycles of birth and death. This is ascension in its truest form. The soul returning to its higher self, reuniting with the oversoul, and merging once again with the divine source. It's the ultimate liberation from the matrix, the realization that we were always divine, always connected to the whole. Ascension is the destiny of every soul. It's not reserved for a select few, but a journey we are all on. Some may be further along the path than others, but eventually, all souls will awaken, all will ascend, and all will return to the source. The matrix, as powerful as it seems, is temporary. Ascension, however, is eternal. It is the soul's natural state, and as we awaken to this truth, we begin to reclaim our true power, our true identity, and our true purpose in the grand design of the universe. So, what does all this mean for our lives today? The implications of the 12-domain universe are vast. It invites us to shift our focus from external struggles and material concerns to the inner journey of spiritual evolution. It reminds us that everything we experience, whether joy or suffering, success or failure, is part of the soul's journey. Every moment is an opportunity to ascend, to remember, and to align more deeply with our divine nature. The universe is not something we are separate from. It is something we are intrinsically a part of. The 12-domain model shows us that we are both the seekers and the source of what we seek. In modern spirituality, this understanding can be transformative. It helps us make sense of the chaos, the conflict, and the confusion that often permeate our lives. By recognizing the cosmic framework in which we exist, we find peace in knowing that the challenges of the lower realms are temporary and purposeful. They are here to help us ascend, not to hold us back. And as we grow spiritually, we can navigate these realms with greater wisdom, balance, and love. But beyond personal growth, this knowledge can also unite us. The 12-domain universe dissolves the illusion of separation between people, between beliefs, and even between life and death. It shows us that we are all on the same cosmic journey, each playing our part in the grand tapestry of existence. With this awareness, we can move beyond fear and judgment and embrace a deeper sense of compassion and unity with all beings. So, as we come to the end of this exploration, let's remember, we are much more than we seem. We are not just physical entities navigating a material world. We are souls on an eternal journey, ascending through realms of consciousness and returning to the source. The 12-domain universe is a reminder that our story is cosmic, timeless, and deeply spiritual. It's a call to awaken, to ascend, and to reconnect with the infinite. And in doing so, we begin to realize the greatest truth of all, that we are the universe itself, manifesting in countless forms on a journey back to the divine. This is not the end of the journey. It's a new beginning, a doorway to deeper understanding, and an invitation to live from a place of consciousness. The 12-domain universe offers us the roadmap, but the journey is ours to take.